Okay, welcome to our Chesed class. Feel free to bring your candle to our space for our invocation, our opening prayer. And right away, I put this psalm up so we can right away come into this vast field of Chesed. So coming, arriving, letting all of yourself be welcomed here into your chair. And you can close your eyes and just take some breaths to fully arrive in your abundant chesed. I will enter your house. I will lay myself down in awe. So right away, we're stepping into the field of loving kindness and just feel the kind, welcoming space of the room that you're in. Almost like it's welcoming you in to this sphere of chesed, of loving kindness. And right away, beginning to take some breaths. You can close your eyes to just feel that every breath is a gift from our Creator. So right away, our breath teaches us about chesed, loving kindness. Every inhale is the divine exhale, a free flowing gift from above. And our breath also resembles the flow, the movement of chesed as it descends on the exhale. And keep the breath flowing and fluid and wave-like as we call all of ourselves here. And we can also enjoy the textures of our clothing or of the chair beneath us. And feel our fingers move like the universe is just playing, delighting in our fingers. And touching and caressing your body, however feels loving to yourself. Maybe it's squeezing your hands or pressing into your heart or massaging your temples. How can you just right away give yourself some chesed, some loving kindness, maybe squeezing the thighs? And any gentle sounds. You don't have to stay quiet. You can let out any sounds to feel the generosity of life force moving through you. Ah. And the sound of chesed is actually an eh sound, like ah, just a wide opening. Ah, or giggling, any sounds to right away invite in chesed. And at any point in the class, if you're feeling overwhelmed or confused or lost, you can always just return to the breath and the life force moving through you. Return to the field of loving kindness surrounding you. And go ahead and open your eyes and light your candle if you haven't done so already. And we'll read our invocation, B'Shem Yechud Kucha Brichu Ushchinatecha. In the name of the unification of the Holy Blessed One and the Shekhinah, I open my heart to the oneness that underlies all things. With each breath, I invite harmony between above and below, between spirit and body, between the infinite and the embodied. May the study and meditation bring greater balance within me and in this world, uniting the Yud-He and the Vav-He, drawing divine presence into creation. So may this practice and session be for the sake of healing and wholeness. And we can call in our guides. So if there's any loving teachers that you have or people in your life that you love, to right away naturally bring that abundance of the heart, feel free to call in any loved ones, alive or on the other side. Just calling their presence and their energy here. And we'll also invite in the angel of Chesed, Michael, the archangel who is always to the right side of us. And anytime we're feeling like we would like to open to some love, we can always bring in Michael's energy to the right of us. We're never alone. And we'll invite in the matriarch and patriarch that embodies Chesed in their life, in their fullness, Avraham and Sarah. So whether you know them or you don't know them, we can just call their presence in to help guide us and show us this energy. And we'll invite in the element of Chesed, of water. So if you have a water bottle or tea, I'm just gonna sip some water, just right away inviting in Chesed. We can invite in the color of Chesed, which is white or with a tinge of blue, or any color that feels like loving kindness to you in this moment. And with the color, just the full energy of Chesed that will be felt and experienced differently by each one of us. So while we will learn about it from different perspectives, really it's how you relate to this energy. And so inviting it in all directions, above, below, within us, around us, through our sensation, our sight, sound. And of course, we'll call in protection with the Shekhinah, the feminine divine presence, and we'll ask to just surround us with protection and light and love. And all of this should be for the sake of loving kindness in the world. So take a few deep breaths with whoever you called in. And if you forget at all, you can always just look at your candle and be reminded of our prayer. So here's some different names for Chesed. We're all coming with different backgrounds. So if there's any name of Chesed that's not on here, feel free to put it in the chat. These are a few that I really loved. Does anyone have any others? I guess I missed openness, expansion. What else is coming to mind? Giving. Yes. Thank you, Chloe. Anyone else? Abundance. Yes. Such a good one. Any of these words? Oh, there's some people waiting. Whoops. Okay, we're inviting 3 more people in. Any of these words that feel like an anchor word for you, feel free to write it down near you and you can return to that word. Welcome, Panina.
Hi, sorry.
Sorry if you were waiting out there. We were eyes closed in our invocation. So feel
That's
free to
too
light your
late.
candle and just join us when you feel ready.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So just a little overview of where we are in this tree of life structure. We are in the right side of the tree of life, which is the side of the masculine. It's the side of giving, like Chloe said, energy that moves outwards. It is the expansive side. It is the flowing side. And we're starting with our first triad because we're working with these energies not only alone, but how they relate to each other. So, Chesed is the first of the three emotions of the heart and the energetics of our heart space. So, if you look at these three we can't learn Chesed without Gevurah. We can't learn the giving without receiving or the expansion without the contraction. So Chesed is really the boundless love that is infinite, that is beyond limitation, beyond form. And Gevurah is the containment. And then with Tiferet, we have that balanced heart. We can have boundless love, but if it's not contained, our heart is going to just overflow and spill everywhere. So Tiferet is that balanced heart that we long for with equanimity. And if Chesed is the side of giving and Gevurah is the side of receiving, Tiferet is that harmonious flow where we're giving without being depleted and we're receiving without taking, but it's just a healthy flow. Another analogy that I really find powerful is Chesed is like the soul that is beyond expansive, expressive, and way infinite. And yet, the soul could not be here without the body. And Gevurah is the containment, so the vessel that holds the soul. So Gevurah is like the body. And then Tiferet is that perfect soul animating through the body, where the soul is fully felt and expressed with the right amount of containment in the body. So there's hundreds of analogies for this triad. If you have any that you love, feel free to also put it in the chat or in our WhatsApp as they come up. They're boundless, as we're speaking of Chesed, abundant amount of analogies for this triad. So the more that we have, the better. So feel free to share as they come to you. But I really love this quote by Rabbi Ginsburg about this right side being the side of flow and the side of an effortless, natural ease in giving. And so we're going to be working with that in our embodiment today. How does Chesed help us step into the flow of moving stagnation and stuckness into healing and into transformation? So it starts with Chesed, but really it extends through the right side. And we'll see later on in the course how it manifests through Netzach, which is that lower one on the pink one right here on the tree of life. Okay, so another name for Chesed that I named this class actually Vital Energetics because Chesed is the pure energetics of the heart, the love that flows freely and without discernment, indiscriminately in all directions, which, as we know, can be positive but also destructive. We also need Gevurah to have a boundary, a containment around it. But why do we begin with Chesed in our journey towards wholeness and healing? I believe we start with Chesed because every true transformation begins with love and not with fear or not with constriction. So if we have an issue or a problem or something that needs to be transformed, first we need to come into the vital energetics of we are limitless and unbound and expansive. And then we have to tame it and put a boundary and container around it to solidify it. But first it starts with pure love. So Chesed right away is about tapping into the part of us that is just an emanation of light without discernment. And right away you can start to notice in your body. Oh, there's Diane's here in the waiting room. Welcome. We can start to feel right away in the body where feels like there's more expansiveness and limitless. or in our life. There could be areas in life that we feel really expansive. And so Chesed is about tapping into that place where we can just expand. And Kabbalah teaches that with the 5 levels of the soul, each one gets wider and wider. The very lowest level, which is the nefesh, the soul that is embodied in our and closest to the physical, is 6 feet around us. So the lowest aspect of the soul is 6 feet around us. That's already such a wide aura of light. So Chesed is about coming into that auric field of I am way beyond the limitations of my skin, of my personality, of who I am in this finite form. And right away, we're coming into that auric field around us. And then as it gets wider and wider, it just becomes infinite. So Chesed is about recognizing those energetics and the reservoirs of energy, that there is an abundance of energy. There's a faucet, a flow of divine life force that is always, always everlasting, and it's never depleted. And the invitation is to step into and under that faucet. And we have this quote here, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that the world was created or built through Chesed. So we'll come into that a little bit more. I'll explain that, but it's the beginning of all of creation is Chesed. Okay, so I mentioned that every transformation starts with Chesed, and even going back to the Garden of Eden, we see that in a midrash, which is a sacred oral story, that Adam and Chava, when they were banished from the Garden of Eden, what did Adam do to return to himself or to come out of that stuckness? Right away, Adam went to the Gihon River, which is one of the 4 rivers that issued forth from the garden. So right away, we have this element of water with Chesed. And it says here, on the first day of the week, Adam went into the waters of the upper Gihon until the waters reached up to his neck. And he fasted 7 weeks of days, until his body became like a species of seaweed. So he prayed for his wholeness and transformation and returning to self in this place where he transformed into seaweed. What did the Holy One do? The Holy One put forth the divine right hand, which is, if you don't know yet, the body part of Chesed, which we'll get to later, but he put his right hand and accepted Adam's tshuva, or his repentance or returning to himself. So Adam had to leave his finite body and his finite limitations and come into another realm, the realm of a sea creature or a piece of seaweed, and become something totally different. So he entered this realm of possibility, and he sat in the river of flow in order to return to himself. So we also begin our return to self, to love, in the river of Chesed. So this is all about like the origin of Chesed. And we also see that Jewish mysticism believes before anything was created in the world, before the days of creation or the 10 utterances that God said, it was just water. So everything began with just water. Before even light and dark were separated, before the various creatures, just water. And water, which is Chesed, is the epitome of just total unity and singularity and oneness. And the Talmud, the Oral Torah, also says that water is where we stem from, because in the womb, for the first 40 days, before we have a heartbeat and before we become a creature, an embryo is called Mayim Ba'alma, I wrote here, which means just simply water. And also science has revealed this. But the origin of Chesed, of water, is simply in the womb. And the womb reminds us of just being surrounded by chesed, surrounded by water, and cared for and loved by our creator. All parts of ourself in the womb were witnessed, we're seen, we're loved on. And so when we return to the water, like in the practice of mikvah, ritual immersion, or anytime we look at a body of water, there's something in us that reminds us of that compassionate place of the womb. And the word in Hebrew for womb, which is rechem, is the same root as rachamim, which is compassion. And compassion is another name for chesed, because the womb is just the place of ultimate love and ultimate nourishment. So all we need to do to connect to chesed is come into our womb water wisdom. In our first class, we discussed the tree of life coming from both directions, the roots above and the roots below. So we can access chesed from above. Let me just go back to here. We can bring in chesed, loving kindness, from keter down to chesed, or we can come up, which is the feminine way, from malchut, which is the space of the womb, up through the heart and up into chesed. So if it doesn't make sense on this graph, that's totally okay, because we're going to explore it in the body. How do we access this flow of love? Is it from above? Is it from below? And maybe it's a mix of both. But I think it's a beautiful invitation that there's waters above and there's waters below. Does anyone have any questions about that? You could, we'll also have time for questions at the end. So I know we're going through a lot, but please do write any questions you have in the chat. Okay, a little bit more about water. What I love about this tree of life, that every Sefirah is connected to one of the elements, is we can access these different energies through the natural world in very simple ways. So if all you get from this class is, okay, I want more chesed, I can visit a body of water, or I can visualize water, or I can drink more water, or better yet, pour water for someone else with generosity, then there are very simple ways and rituals to connect, because everything above has a counterpart below. And once we understand chesed, then every time we see water, it's just another reminder, a meaningful invitation into these energetics of love. Oh, hi. Is that Chloe's son? Hi, cutie. So think about your...
He's not here for all the time. It's popped
That's
in.
okay. He's totally welcome. Loved ones are welcome. But right away, you can think about your favorite body of water. It could be a river or a waterfall or a hot spring, a lake, an ocean, a bubbling brook. And just think about some attributes of these spaces. So both positive attributes and possible challenges, and write them in the chat as they come. Like, what do these bodies of water remind you of? Pool. Yeah, water. A pool is definitely counts. Depth. I love that. Fresh. So good. Hidden life. Yeah, that can be like mysterious and amazing, and also like lurking and scary. Like, what's lurking deep under the water? Movement. Yes, and the whole right axis of the tree is about movement and flow, connection. I love that, because water unifies everything it touches. What about some negative ones? Power. Right now, we're in the month of Cheshvan, which is when the flood happened in Jewish history and Noah entered the ark. So there's also the destructive elements like the great flood, the Maim Rabim, and disregard for boundaries. Birthing, yes. The birth canal. Cleansing. Water is all powerful. So I love that we're right away such a positive group. We're going to all the good elements of water, like flowing and nurturing and endless giving, purifying, calming, life-giving, like the birth canal. There's also the destructive elements. And I'm mentioning that because Chesed in and of itself has also the shadow and the shadow side and the fallen state of Chesed. Just like water is a disregard for boundaries or overly easygoing, imposing your love on someone without their desire, sending your love in the wrong directions, freezing, melting. Yeah, this frozen cold, the great flood. So let's just keep this in mind because it sounds like Chesed is only pure and good, but Chesed also has that destructive side. So, but back to the positives, because we're such a positive group. The Kabbalists in the early days would spill water in front of them while praying just to arouse divine chesed, to arouse divine love. And the sages also say that if you can learn Torah by a body of water, then it helps you open your heart and retain the information. And it's best to learn wisdom near water. So there's so many Jewish rituals, ancient rituals connected to water. But with chesed, the Hasidic masters and the Kabbalists teach that there are two general types of love towards the divine, towards God. There's both love like water and love like fire. So love like water represents the side of chesed. Loving like fire is another side, which is the side of gevura. And so loving like water, the sages say, is the love for the divine that is just natural and effortless and easeful. It's like so innate. We were just born with it. Versus love like fire is that passionate love that takes a lot of work and devotion, and it has more emotion to it. But it takes a lot more cultivation, whereas Chesed is just loving like water. So every time in Song of Songs and the Shir of Shirim, when the divine expresses love to us by calling us Ahoti, like my sister, it's alluding to loving like water. Whereas in Shir of Shirim, when there's analogies of God calling us like his bride or like a lover, that's love like fire, right? Because with loving a lover, there's a lot more passion and it's fiery and there's burning desire, but it's not necessarily always present or natural. Whereas loving like water is just calm and ever present. So there's a lot of explanation into these two types. And ultimately, like with the tree of life, we want both. We want love like water and we want love like fire in our relationship with the divine. Okay, I think I'm going to skip this for now. It's a beautiful quote, but we're not going to read this whole thing, but there's a long excerpt about the connection between water and Torah in Shir Shirim. And what I'm taking from this, there's so many ways to read this, is that water always descends to the lowest place, right? If you look at water, it always goes to the lowest place. So when we connect to Chesed, it comes from the divine. It is divine love, but it waters and is a downfall to the lowest place. The lowest places in ourself, in the earth. It's meant to water the earth and not just stay in the high and holy places. So same when we're directing chesed to us, it's not enough to just send love to the places in us that are fun and likable and beautiful, but we also get to bring that waterfall of divine love to the lowest places in us. And someone brought this up in our in-person group last night, that there was a hostage that was recently released, Omer Shem Tov, from the depths of hell, like from the tunnels in Gaza, like the darkest, lowest place you can possibly imagine on earth. And one thing he said is, the one thing that he misses about captivity is his deep connection to divine love. That every day he was tapping into this deep connection with his creator. And I can't even imagine anyone like saying anything about missing captivity, but it's true that sometimes in the lowest, darkest places, you can feel the divine love even in its depth, because that's the property of chesed, is to go to the lowest place. So that was really touching to me. That, I mean, he felt the deepest love in the darkest of places. Okay, we have one more little learning, and then we'll come into some embodiment, because I know this is a lot of information. This is the last part before we come in, but this is, I think, the most important part. So you might want to get your journal out and take some notes, because I do feel like this is the kind of the meat of why we're learning this. So there's so much to explore in Chesed, and there's a lot in your packet. Also, you can learn more in depth. But the two takeaways of like, what is the purpose? Why do we call upon Chesed? Why do we open this channel? First is because of expansion, which we already touched upon, right? Attuning to our infinite nature, moving past our limitations into the realm of pure possibility. The second reason is flow. And when I say flow, it doesn't mean that we're feeling good all the time. That's just not possible. But it's about allowing ourselves to feel, release, and move, and let any emotions flow through you. So Chesed's not just about feeling loving all the time. It's about how can we make those emotions flow. And this aspect of flow we see in the personal, the interpersonal, and the transpersonal. Personally, of course, we want flow unleashed in the body, because when there's stagnation, that leads to illness. And any emotion that gets stuck can cause disruption to our nervous system, to our energy levels, and ultimately lead us to depression or illness. So personally, flow is really important in the body. Unfortunately, with something like a trauma response is something that gets frozen or stuck in the body that we may have not been able to process or clear in the moment. So it gets locked somewhere. And that's why coming into Chesed through the somatics, not just through the mind, can allow us to discover those locked places that got frozen and follow those pathways, listen and release in certain areas. So that personal reason is, just enough to invite in Chesed. Interpersonally, it's about opening love in our relationships more, opening channels of generosity, the flowing life force between us and our relationships. And that interpersonal part is it's outward giving. It opens it opens us up more and sends energy and loving kindness outward. Sometimes we're sending chesed in one area in an unhealthy way that needs cord cutting or separation, which will free our own energy and then send them loving kindness back. So that's a whole process of cord cutting, of like, where's your love getting stuck with somebody else? But in general, the interpersonal realm is about opening the channels of love with others. And especially if there are people in your life that need your love more deeply, like your children or your family or friends, Chesed helps us direct that love to the right people. And then transpersonally is, of course, divine love, feeling that we're loved by God and all parts of us are touched by divine love. And unfortunately, this can get disrupted in childhood. So if we didn't feel unconditional love from our parents, it might be hard to understand this transpersonal love with the divine. Doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means we have more work or cultivation to do, because I really think the most important ingredient we give to our children that we pass on is chesed, unconditional love. So another analogy for chesed is mother's milk. And we see it often with the sages, talking about mother's milk and how it resembles chesed because it's free flowing. It's the first thing a mother gives effortlessly. I mean, it's not always effortless breastfeeding, but ideally the milk is just flowing like chesed to the child. And it's the first time we receive this perfect substance that has everything in it that we need. It is completion, just totally complete. And another analogy in this transpersonal realm is manna from heaven, which is also often related to like breast milk. So if you don't know what manna is, when the Israelites were traveling in the desert, there was food from heaven, like angel food, that was just pouring down without having to work for it. The Israelites just got to receive manna, and it's likened to breast milk because it just came and it was a substance that was complete. There was no waste and there was no excess. Every single person got exactly what they needed, no less, no more. It was complete. I'm just reading what you said, Chloe. Regarding the personal part of flow, stuck energy in our bodies affects our bodies on a biological level too. Our cells produce waste that the lymphatic system has to clear out, or else disease, infection, inflammation could occur. Yes, that's why this Sefirah feels so important. And if it got blocked ancestrally in a previous generation, it could be that we were already born with this like stuckness or stagnation. It wasn't necessarily something that we did, but that it was passed on to us. So this is an invitation for us to invite that flow back so that we pass on a healthy chesed flow to our children or to the next generation. Okay, so we're going to go into a little bit about how to invite in this flow. Chesed embodiment, how to invite in this flow. It doesn't mean you have to do all of these, but maybe one of these stands out to you, and one of them will be the practice you take with you. Also a good time to take notes if that helps you retain it and process. In terms of breath, A Chesed breath is free flowing, like a wave, fluid. You can also access it through ocean breathing. And if you don't know how to do that, I explain it in the packet. And I think there's a video also on Teachable that introduces ocean breathing, which is very much like circular wave-like breath. The type of breath that's associated with Chesed is like the unobstructed sigh, that any sound can come out, just a sound of complete release. Some people connect it to Miriam's song, the Song of Miriam, which was like the unobstructed breath, the Nagunam that just comes with praise and love. So free flowing breath, sighing, sounds, singing, all of this is activating Chesed through the breath, through the throat. And I like to think of each Sefirah as a different type of movement or embodiment practice. Doesn't mean it's the only way or the only movement practice, because of course, within every movement practice, you have a little bit of each. But when I think about Chesed, I think about a more free-flowing dance, like ecstatic dance or authentic movement. It's not like yoga, which has more gevura, like discipline and postures and a particular sequence, but Chesed movement is like letting emotions move through you naturally and just letting the tide take you or following your impulse. So if you've ever practiced ecstatic dance or authentic movement, those are a few ways to open up. Or you can just do a water dance, which is like listening to water sounds and visualizing water move through you, and however that moves your body is like a water dance. Or even better, if you're by the water and you're just dancing to like embody and move with the waves. That's how I like to visualize Chesed. And then of course, within every movement practice, there's elements of all. So I love yoga, and you probably have seen that there's a yoga class for each of the Sefirot on Teachable. And so there are certain postures that do feel like more Chesed, like more free flowing or more expressive, shining outwards, giving love outwards, like star pose, surfing waves. Love that. That's a great one. But star pose for me is like, I'm sending love in all directions without blockages. I'm not holding back. I'm taking up space. I'm letting myself expand. So exploring for you, like, is there a posture or a gesture or a movement that helps you tap into Chesed or allows Chesed to flow through your body? And if you don't know yet, you can just ask your body and listen to what shape emerges. So there's lots of different types of movement. There's movement with the body, but there's also movement with the emotions. So like crying is a really nice way to let emotions move through you, especially carried through water. Crying to me feels very much like a Chesed practice. Yeah. Earth rituals, you could lay down by the water or listen to running water. If you can't go to a body of water, you can invite in river visualizations or invite the rivers to run through you. There's certain plants that can help us enter more of a water, like water lily is a really nice plant, and you can get it in a flower essence also. It's like a white flower that grows on the water. You can bring in the water lily. I think of willow as a very much plant that exudes Chesed. I have a willow flower essence also, that if I feel like stuck and I need some flow, I'll use some of the willow. And willow both grows by the water, but it also represents like this looks like grandmother's hair. It's very like flowy, it resembles like flexibility of the spine and flow. And it helps us. My friend that's an herbalist gives people willow to help move stuck emotions. So that's just one, but there's lots of ways that our nervous system can get stuck and disrupted, and there's different plant supports that can help move the system towards healing. Okay. Jewish ritual. I'm going to just go through these quickly, but at the end, if there's any that you don't understand, like why are these connected to Chesed or you don't know what they are to begin with, I'll explain them more. I just want to get us into a little bit of movement. The Jewish rituals that are connected with Chesed are mikvah, the sukkah, tashlich, tzedakah, hosting guests, baking challah, and mishlach manot on Purim. So if that doesn't mean anything to you and you don't know what those things are, don't worry. You can let that go for now, and we can go into that more later. And I can explain anything more on the WhatsApp also. But moving on, an easy way to move into Chesed energy is turning your awareness from inwards to outwards. So especially if you're someone that starts to wallow in depression or sadness, or you're super emotional, and you get self-absorbed, generosity and giving to others can really cure depression and get you out of your stuckness. So just moving awareness from inward to outward. And when I say cure depression, I don't mean clinical depression, but those times where we're stuck in ourselves, just moving outwards, thinking about how we can support someone else or how we can give. Can we give charity, tzedakah? Can we host a guest? That helps move us into flow. Ancestral invocation, we can invite in Sarah and Abraham or any loved one, a teacher that just brings you a witness presence that is pure love. I don't know if you've ever had that type of teacher before, or therapist or guide or mentor that's just resembles pure Chesed. You can bring their image to mind. You can bring their energy. And if you don't have anyone like that, we all have Sarah Imenu, our matriarch, Sarah, that exuded this and embodied the energy of Chesed. And then other ways to call in Chesed, and we'll go, I'll preview some of this later, is attuning to the right side of us where Michael, the angel of kindness, is. Also in the sacred cube, Chesed's to the right. We can always visualize a bluish white and use the color healing of that Sefirah to come in. So these are definitely not something to tackle, all of these, but maybe one of them, like maybe I'll let myself cry this week, or maybe I'll drink water. And there's other ways. So if I missed any that you find are helpful, like what helps you get out of stuckness and enter the flow, please put that in the chat to give other people some ideas. What helps you get out of stuckness and into the flow? And by the way, I think learning about Chesed right now in the fall and in the month of Cheshvan is so beautiful, because all of them teach us about transitions, movement, like the fall, the leaves falling, Cheshvan, like the water element of this month. All of it is just helping us to come into more of a flow. So feel free to put it in the chat if there's anything that I miss that is important to you. But I'm going to put on a song. Oh, loving kindness meditation, sending love to others. Yes. Beautiful. I'm going to turn on a song, and the invitation is to either free write or free dance, but the purpose is free flowing without overthinking or holding back. And we're going to ask our body this question of what feels stuck in your life that could use more flow. And we'll just dance to it and move to it. And without trying to push anything or uncover anything, like what comes to you. You can turn your camera off or on. And this is kind of like our free dance. And again, like if you don't want to dance, you can also just let your hand move. You could also tune into your breath and feel the free flow of the breath. Okay. Okay. You hear me again? Welcome back. I hope you got maybe one or more insight of what feels stuck in your life that you could use more flow. Feel free to type it in the chat if anything came up for you. We're going to come into our meditation. So, anything you needed to jot down as a reminder or put in the chat, you can do that and then find your way into a comfortable spot, either seated or you can lie down with props. And I love props because it's another way to invite in loving kindness, like allowing ourselves to rest on a blanket or pillows under our knees, a blanket even on your body, just a little reminder of love, giving yourself some love. And we'll be here for about 20 minutes. So, of course, the invitation is always to listen to yourself if you need anything. If you need to move postures, or if there's a direction that I'm going, but you want to stay, really listen to your own body and come out anytime you need. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Mm. And hopefully that free dance just allowed you to come and arrive into your body. And if not, we can take some breaths now to arrive fully in our body, as if you're descending into a pool of loving kindness. Becoming aware of the infinite chesed, almost like you're laying yourself down in this abundant place of chesed. Just like the quote from the beginning. So notice the sensations in your body as we sit in this presence of the great infinite chesed, the great infinite love surrounding us. Know that wherever we lay, wherever we sit, wherever we are, we're held in this field of loving kindness. So allowing the willingness to just lay down in awe. And if you notice during this meditation, your mind wandering away, with loving kindness, bring yourself back into the field. With every breath, a loving presence. So we'll bring awareness to the earth beneath us, pulsating with chesed. Olam chesed yibaneh, the world was created with love. So the love that is holding us up from below, before land and before plants and animals, it was just chesed, just water. So see if we can grow our roots deep down enough to tap into the waters below. accessing that oneness and singularity and kindness and benevolence that is beneath the surface. And when we discover that through our roots, we'll invite it up the roots into the body. So our veins are like flowing rivers of Chesed. And our breath is wave-like. And even the heartbeat pulsates at the rhythm of Chesed, inviting us deeper and deeper into the loving fields. We can bring our hands onto our womb, the place of water where we began, the place of pure rachamim, compassion, surrounded by love, by our Creator. And descending awareness into the womb space, discovering the depths of your inner waters. So let the breath deepen this space as you explore the water from the navel all the way to the spine, from hip to hip, down to the root, the whole low belly, like a deep ocean of our subconscious. And as if you're kneeling by the waters, gazing in to your depths. And see if you can feel into the sensation of that water. Listen to its messages. Follow its flow. And perhaps the water is still and clear like a pool. Just stay right there. And perhaps the water is flowing and takes you out of the womb into other places of your body. Just follow the streams, clear and renew. Continue following those streams through your body, noticing where it feels expansive, expressive, flowing with love, and just continue following it. And if you find that there is an absence of chesed, without judgment, just awareness, notice what areas feel stuck or depleted, and simply offer yourself compassion in that area and continue with the breath. Feel free to stay as long as you wish, following the chesed that comes beneath the surface from the earth, from the womb. And if you're ready to move on, we can also invite in chesed from above. So bringing awareness above the crown of the head into that space of vibrating desire, the crown that touches the heavens, the upper realms, gently opening that place and visualizing that great abundant waterfall of light flowing down over the crown of the head and washing into the heart or wherever it wants to land and gather. If it does land in the heart, you can bring your palms to the heart and tune into the vital energetics, the expansive love that is full and abundant in the heart space, like an ocean of wisdom and love. And deepen the breath as we expand the heart with every inhalation, widening this vessel of the heart to receive more chesed, tuning into whatever emotions are riding the waves of your breath. And it doesn't mean it's only good feelings. If there's sadness, we let that ride the wave of the breath and flow and move and transform. If there's pain or resistance, all of that is welcome. We're inviting it into the flow. Feel free to stay right where you are. If you're floating in your ocean heart or the ocean womb, feel free to stay. And if you're ready to continue moving through the journey, once we feel the abundance and generosity of the heart, then we let it pour out the right arm and right palm like a great waterfall, exiting us and entering the fields around us without thinking about who it's going to, just letting that love flow freely. The generosity of life force just moving out the right arm. Feel free to open the arm and palm just as an expression. So the heart is like the top of the waterfall, and the right arm lets it descend down and out. An abundant flow. You may notice texture or sensation, like a buzzing of your palm, a desire to give. And remembering that we're not giving from our limited self, but that we're just stepping in the faucet of the abundant flow, letting divine love flow through us and out. And go ahead and take that right palm and place it back on your body somewhere, either on your heart, your belly, or anywhere it wants to land, circulating all of that flow back into ourself. Creating that circuit of compassion and bringing it back inwards, letting that waterfall flow inside. And take some deeper breaths as we receive that abundant flow. A lot of us women have an easier time giving outwards, but can we bring it back and receive it into ourself? Take some full breaths. And feel yourself pulsating with loving kindness. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and bring that same pulsation of love into this field, into our container together. And we have a few minutes here that you can jot down in your journal, or you can share with this group. You can unmute yourself and share anything that you experienced about how your generosity flows, where it got stuck, any leaks in your giving or loving. So if you feel called to share, go ahead and unmute. And you can also just use this as some quiet journaling time.
I can share. Can you hear me, Jen?
Pam, I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted? You turn your volume up? Can you guys hear her?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you. I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
I
Wait.
think I was being too quiet from that awesome meditation. I was thinking, or one insight that I found particularly interesting through the meditation was a different quality of the Hesed that was coming from below versus the Hesed that was coming from above. Like from below, it felt more of like a nurturing Mother Earth type of sensation. And from the above, it felt um, more like an expansive, almost kind of like an ethereal, like divine type of love coming from above. So it was interesting to feel like different aspects of the same Sefirah.
I love that. Thank you. And it reminds me of the Shira Shirim that we read earlier, which is just as the water has many voices, so too does Torah have many voices. So, like, we can experience water in so many ways and love in so many ways. And it's beautiful that you were able to experience two of those directions. Anyone else want to share?
I'll share. Yeah, that experience of stepping into the womb space and just like a mikvah going down and then feeling the waters coming up from below to to just nourish and replenish and move. And and then it just felt so I just got this just sensation of new water. I don't even know how to describe it, but like a new waters um, all over my body. And yeah, like a resurgence of something, a resurgence. And then inviting the water in from above and this blending. And then my whole body, it was just vibrating. Just, and then I have a taste in my mouth. I have an interesting taste, kind of interesting, kind of like a little bit of a metallic taste. There was kind of a sound related to it as well. Could be the sound I'm tasting. I don't know. It's just like a lot of openings.
Openings. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I love this resurgence. Feels like, when you're jumping into a mikvah or a water immersion, and the word resurgence really is striking to me.
Mm.
Hi. I also really connected to like feeling the womb space like as a pool, which I've never really felt that before. I don't think I've really connected with that space so much. Like I've never been like pregnant or anything. I feel like maybe women experience that more through those times, which I feel really grateful for being brought into that, like, awareness, or, like, especially, like, as, like, I don't know, something that was really beautiful. Thank you.
Mm. Thanks, Panina, for mentioning that. Yeah, there's some times where our womb is like calling us in like very strongly, like in pregnancy, but also other times. But there's so much quiet, intuitive wisdom that we can gather every time we enter the womb space, which is like our pre-personal space. So there's such depth of just coming in and listening there, endless wisdom and very ancestral wisdom also that we can receive from just descending down there. So I love that you experienced that. Okay. So we have a few minutes to talk about announcements, which feel free to continue sharing any experiences in the WhatsApp if you didn't get a chance to share. It's a really nice place to continue the conversation. We'll be exploring Gavura next Wednesday, so very excited for that to really balance out this Sefirah. Feel free to download your Chesed guide to like keep learning and keep in the practice. There's a 12-minute Chesed expansion meditation that I really recommend on Teachable, which is a really beautiful way to come into expansion, and sharing on our WhatsApp group. And here's a few ideas of practices and homework for this week. So, visualizing somebody that could use some extra love, family member, and bring them to mind and feel them fill up your heart and direct love towards that person. Inviting in Avraham and Sarah. We did this together, but a longer session with them where you actually call them in and listen to their wisdom. And you can ask a question and just receive, or you can just feel their presence. And this takes a little bit of experimentation. If you need help with this process, let me know. But I think it's a really beautiful way to learn about Chesed directly from our matriarch, Sarah. Color healing, inviting in white as Chesed. So I wore white today. You can have white flowers. You can color with white. You can just attune to white, look at the clouds. And every time you see white, it's you can know that it's a symbol or a message from God. Like, here's some chesed in your day. Here's a white cloud, or here's this elderly woman with white hair. All of that are like little reminders to invite in chesed. Some sort of movement practice that is expressive, like free flowing dance, authentic movement. Someone said surfing. So finding some way to embody chesed, and we have some videos you can do on Teachable, but I know everyone has different lifestyles. So seeing how you can play out chesed in your body. We didn't go so much into this, but chesed is the right arm and right palm. So we give love with our right palm and right hand. You can use your right palm to bake challah and give things to people. Oh, I guess it's Halloween this week, like giving candy, blessing others with your hand, infusing love into whatever you're doing with your hands, crafting, creating, just sending love through your hands, because the Kohanim, the high priest, would bless through their hands. And you can practice this by filling up your right palm with the energy of love and placing it over your body and letting the blessing sink in, or you can do it on somebody else. But activating that right hand In the sacred cube, there's more about this in your packet, but tilting to the right, gesturing to the right, highlighting to the right side is Chesed. So we can just attune to the right of us. Or if you're in a yoga pose, like we're twisting to the right, we're opening to the right, expressing to the right, to remind us of this side, getting out of our linear mentality and being like, oh, there's divine energy this way, there's divine energy that way. This helps open us up to the multi-directionality of all of these energies. Bringing in the sound healing of Chesed, which is the sound of expression and release. And what I love about this shape, this vowel, is it looks like a waterfall. It's like a waterfall of compassion. It starts from above and then just flows below, like nourishing and giving. So you can chant the sound like head, or like singing with that sound, or any sound that needs to be released. It sounds like, Giovanna, you had your own sound coming through, and that's totally welcome. But you can let's try it right now. Take a breath in and sound. There's no right or wrong way, but just noticing the pathway that the sound brings you through. Michael, the angel, inviting in the angel. And I know we're over time, so this is the last practice I'll mention today, is using this mantra, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, the world is built with love. So you can inhale Olam and exhale Chesed Yibaneh, built with love. Inhale Olam, exhale Chesed Yibaneh. Or you can do the English version, I am divine love. And there's also, in our playlist, we have some of the song, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, different tunes of this, and you can sing that song. But it's a really nice mantra practice to remember that we pulsate with divine love. We are created from divine love, and returning to that place. Okay, thank you. I know we went a few minutes over, but I'm here now to answer any questions. I know we went through a lot. So if there's any questions you have about Chesed or about last class, the tree of life in general, I'm here. And if you need to leave, I know we're over time. So thank you for being here, and I honor your time. Thanks, Diane. Bye.
Jenna, I had a question.
Mhm.
More of a outside of Hesed, but so there are a couple of other Sefirot that are above the first triad.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything that we need to kind of know about that space in relation to the triads that we're going into in this class?
Yeah, good question. So the reason why I started with Hagat, which is the emotional Sefirot, is that I wanted this to be an embodied exploration, and the upper triad are the intellectual Sefirot, Chachma, Bina, and Dat. Not saying that they're not important, just that this particular class was about embodying the Sefirot. We always start from opening Keter. Like, Keter is the top of the tree of life, the crown, and that has both divine will and desire. And that does flow through Chachma Bina Da. So just very briefly, Chachma is like our wisdom consciousness. If Chesed is the expansion of the heart, Chachma is like the expansion of the mind. It's like the big picture, like gift from above. It's very, it's like the masculine, like big idea. And then Bina is the left brain, which is like deeper understanding, more like detailed consciousness. It's the like feminine side of the brain. So it's like right brain, left brain, Chachma and Bina. And then dot is like integrated awareness. So some people think of dot as like the third eye. Some Kabbalists show dot as like the throat that connects the brain into the heart. It's like the narrow bridge that connects our head and the heart. So dot is it's a whole exploration because the Breslov Rabbi Nachman says that there's no greater bridge in the world than between the head and the heart. And so that's dot. It's like, how do we bring our intellect and awareness like into our body and heart? It's that big bridge. And we will explore Yesod, which is the Sefirah below, like the sexual Sefirah. That is, let me see if I can show you this just in an image. Just so you can see the image here. Yeah, here. So if you notice what Da'at does above, Yesod does below. So they're actually like mirrors, Da'at and Yesod. We're going to be exploring Yesod, and when we do, you'll actually learn a lot about Da'at because Yesod is like Da'at, but of the body.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you can see here, Chachma is wisdom. It's like, it says here heart, but that doesn't really work in this paradigm. But it brings it closer to the heart. Like it is more of the detailed understanding. And in Kabbalah, it's known as the mother. Bina is like the mother that gives birth to the rest of the Sefirot. Yeah, and what I didn't want to focus on this because so much of Judaism is actually in Chachma and Bina.
Yes.
Dot. Like I would say like most of, right, not most, but like, yeah, I could probably say most of Judaism right now especially in our life right now, we're like so stuck in the brain. And I felt like it was more meaningful to start with the emotional Sefirot. And also during the counting of the Omer, which is in the month of Iyar between Passover and Shavuot, we go through one of these Sefirot, these 7 emotional Sefirot, the 7 attributes, starting with Chesed for refinement. And so there is this practice of starting with Chesed in transforming. And even with what we read earlier with Adam, it says he fasted 7 weeks until his body became seaweed. So the 7 weeks, each week corresponds with one of the 7 emotional Sefirot. These Chesed to Malchut, the 7 emotional Sefirot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
There's so many others, but just a practical one. I couldn't find a way to connect to the WhatsApp. Is there,
Oh,
yeah, I don't,
Mhm.
it,
Did you
I
get
might,
the welcome packet in your
I
email?
did. Yeah. And I was reviewing it and
Oh.
because I finally got WhatsApp on my phone. So I should be able to click it, right?
Yeah, I can send you an email with the link, but on your welcome packet, there is a clickable link that just
Mm-hmm.
invites you into the group and you just can enter it through there. But if you if you type your number in the chat box, I'll save it and I can also invite you that way.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Any other questions? or thoughts, insights. There's no dumb question either. It's like there was a lot of new information and um, a lot
I
of,
have a question. I
yeah.
think I read it in the packet
Mm.
about the name change for Sarah and Abraham. Like a het was added to the name, or a Hebrew letter was added to
Hey,
their hey was added to
yeah,
the to open up to the divine, or
yeah.
that really really spoke to me. Can you
Mm.
talk about that for just a moment?
Yeah. Let me end this for a sec. So Sarah's name was originally Sarai, and she couldn't have a child. She was barren. And then she received this Hebrew letter Hey and changed her name from Sarai to Sarah. And the Hebrew letter Hey is, I'm showing you with my arms, but if you can see the Hey, it resembles this like spacious flow. It's the feminine letter in God's name. God's tetragrammaton name has the Yud, which is the masculine, the Hey, which is feminine, the
Right.
Vav, which is masculine, and then the second Hey, which is feminine.
Mm.
And so the reason why it's so feminine, and we'll also explore this more in Malchut, the feminine Sefirah, is there's both a window above. I'm going to paint this picture. I don't think my arms are doing the trick. Here, do you see that? There's a window above, and then there's also a window below. It's very similar to our tree of life concept that there's roots above and roots below. That there's a divine flow that comes from above. And it's like opening a window when you're constricted, versus the Hebrew letter Het, which is like closed to above, and there's only the downward direction. So Hey is very flowy, and it invites in renewal. And it's also this, the Talmud says the world was created through the letter Hey, because before God went through all the 10 utterances of like, let there be light, let there be this, there was just breath. And the Hebrew letter Hey sounds like the exhale. So the Kabbalists teach that really creation started with the divine exhale, the flow of life force into the world, and then was constricted through the utterances, through the sound. The other letters are like constrictions and sounds, but the Hey is just unobstructed flow, like Miriam's song. So it's very connected to Chesed because of this flow. And often when someone is like sick or there's an illness, or in this case, Sarai couldn't have a child, some people turn towards adding a Hey in their name. There's a practice to do this, or adding a whole nother name for healing. But usually the first step is like adding a Hey somehow, if it works in your name. And if not, adding another name for just it invites in a new life force to flow in.
It's amazing.
And
Thank
also,
you.
Avram turned into Avraham. So
Right.
Avram also added a Hey to his name, Avram to Avraham, and they were able to have a child miraculously because Sarah was so old at that point.
Mm, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. And if anything else comes up questions, insights, or if you are by a body of water, take a picture of it, send it in our WhatsApp group, and let's keep Chesed flowing for the next week until we meet for Gevurah. So thank you so much. Be in touch if you need. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Bye.